Welcome to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. These light warriors, both native New Yorkers, walk their walk, talk their talk, and keep the real in the deal. This dynamic duo joined forces to assist you through your transformational journey one step at a time, empowering you with spiritual tools you can use in your daily life. Each show begins as a conversation creating an opening for spiritual connection. There are never any scripts, and Spirit is always illuminating the way. And that's when the shift hits the fan. The magical messages of the ancestors, spirit guides, and Gaia are respected, honored, and always given sacred space to communicate. Join Marilyn and Elizabeth as they shake shift up and do what they do best, speak from their hearts.
Hello, welcome to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Boy,
welcome.
Miss Marilyn, I'm going to tell you right now, we're right smack in the middle of the muck, astrology-wise. I'm not kidding. We're right smack in the middle of that Pluto return for America, and everybody's too hot, and everybody's kind of crabby, at least over here in my neck of the woods in Colorado. I don't get out much because I'm smart, and I stay in my little bubble as much as I can. But it is some intense energies going on right now. So you were talking about how you were making this uplifting playlist,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
And you know, we have a big theme for the month of July. Anybody listening to us right now, even Marilyn kind of doesn't even know this, by the way. So, I mean, I've kind of said this, but we have a big theme for July, which is independence. And then we have subtopics around that because we thought that this was a month. So today, our topic is about being present and why being present matters. And how does that tie into being independent? We're going to get into that today. But I did want to address, we are right smack, like, you know, when you're at the elevator well in a business building and it says you are here and there's the arrow with the dot. That's like the Pluto return on the America right now. You are here and we are right there, you know. And, everything's a little wacko-jacko. The economy, the inflation, the heat wave, I don't need to tell you what's going on out there. Everybody knows in their own little worlds. But here's the thing, a lot of this came to me this morning because we are dealing with the Taurus, Scorpio, worth and value, quality over quantity, and that's the theme, astrology-wise, for the next 18 months. And so, but what the big word that came up for me was accountability, because accountability has a big theme to do with the quality versus the quantity versus the quality, and the worth and value in our lives. And when we decide actively, why do we want to be present? I guess we should start there. But when we decide we want to consciously stay present because we're more empowered, we have to take accountability for like that for everything, right? I mean, accountability, because until you know what the dis-ease is and you name it, then you can't claim it. You got to name it to claim it, to get the medicine to fix it or heal it or So I think that's true with everything. So in my little Gemini rising brain with a lot of air, I try and stay on topic, but I struggle.
I think you're right on topic, right?
Yeah,
Because
you do.
accountability is important, right? And then, when
Yes.
you were saying that, I was thinking about, and it's what you believe and how you believe and how you see yourself and how you see others in the world. Where's your focus? All of that has to do with your accountability because it's based on, it's an inside job. Right now, we're currently doing an inside job. This has nothing to do with the outside world, right? The outside world is happening, but it's more of the inside job that we need to be turning towards, so that then the outside world can feel healthier and more balanced. And so, everything that you just said, yeah, it's important to be accountable for what it is that we're focusing on and what it is that we're thinking and feeling and believing, and being
Yeah.
able to shift that understanding if we need to shift the understanding without the guilt or the shame or the blame or whatever the impact is that you may have believed that was attached to it. If we can just release that from our energy fields, I mean, oh my God, it's like, as I say this, I'm going, oh my God, if everyone were able to do this, like, the shifting that would be it would be such a quick shift, and it would probably be, how would I say, so blissful, because we're all going to be, moving in that energy. But of course, everybody's going to move in their own energetic frequency. And so it's going to be, how would I say, it's going to be a little shaky. It's going to be a little,
Yeah.
There's going to be a little turmoil there. There's going to be a little bit of, activating there as well. So, we just have to get ready, but let's do the internal work, because really this is an inside job, right? We're here to
It's all
rediscover the
an
self.
inside job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, focus was the word that you used that really stood out for me because, well, I have a Gemini rising and I have an Aquarius moon, and that is all air, 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 air. And so Geminis are very good at communicating and being social. Where social butterfly is the perfect expression for Gemini rising. But then I have that moon. And so where my trap is, right? Because I wanted to talk about my trap. I used to multitask everything. I owned my own business for 25 years. I was in retail. I was an artist making jewelry, selling to clients. I wore a lot of hats, and I was very good at it at the time. I probably had more brain cells at that point, but my youth. But as I get older, I rob myself of so much by multitasking. And so I really had to do a complete 180, and I have to catch myself when I start saying, I can do this and that and this all at the same time, because I'm not giving my 100% to anything, and it doesn't work anymore. And that's been a big change for me. And I see the growth and the evolution of myself. Like, I wanted to come up with something that I wanted to recommend to people, a tool they could use for being present. And for me, and I think I've shared this with you, Marilyn, I could have even shared it on the radio, I don't remember. But Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, that book is so good for recreating your mind and your focus to staying present and finding where your power leaks are. Now, when I tell you this, I had that book 15, 20 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. It was like my eyes are closing. I'm so bored. I can't. And, I had to grow into that book and his information. And now, 15, 20 years later, I go, oh, wow, that makes so much sense. I revisit that book and everything about it resonates. But it took me 20 years to catch up to him, is my point. So I just wanted to throw out there, sometimes you may have been drawn to something and you just might not be ready for it. Readdress it, relook at it, reconsider it, because that book has really helped me see where my power leaks are and stay focused. So I don't know if you have a tip or not, but I think it's funny how that happens, where you're just a little ahead of yourself and you're not ready, but you know that that's right for you, and then later on it is.
Yeah.
At least that was my epiphany.
Yeah, I'm a journal girl, All my life I've been
journal,
that person.
That's a really good way to stay present.
Yeah, and so in journaling, I've found different types of techniques. A lot of times it's asking the questions. And so I ask the questions, and then I allow the pen to move without questioning, without judging, without reading even. I'm just allowing the pen to continue to write, to continue to write, to continue to write. And then when I'm done, I read it. And I mean, sometimes I just have to go, oh my God, what? Because it's so power filled that and then I go, I would never have written that, so I know that has to be right. But for me, I know that that's the internal wisdom, right, that's speaking through us, that we can tap into at any time. But the question is, you have to make room for that. We have to make time for that. Like sometimes people will say, oh, I don't have time for that, I'm too busy. I have to say that in my life, what caused me to make also some of these changes is also because what I would do is I would say, oh, I don't have enough time to read these books, or I don't have enough time to sit
Yeah.
down, because of course I did multitask. And even when I was working and I left the job, I was still working when I came home. I never gave, I just didn't have that. And then I had, to take care of the kids, and I had to take care of my husband. I had to take care of, the home and all this kind of stuff, and just manage everything. And then I learned that taking a step back and meditating, even when I started with the 5 minutes, and I just started slowly to increase the time. And that led me to a place where I felt, oh my goodness, it was like, I have to tell you that whenever I would meditate, the day would be, it was almost as if I had more time than I ever had before. And I think that it's because my brain was actually functioning differently, because I wasn't in that energy of, just, how would you say, almost like spinning and just producing and moving things around. It was just like this different kind. I had time. Eventually, I had time to read all the books I wanted to read. I had time to sit by myself and just to, recenter. I had so much more time, and I was still doing the same things. Like, none of those things changed. What changed was, I think it was more my attitude around it and how I was feeling about myself, in that time when I was giving myself the time to just be, to just be. And then I was able to do and to be in the world. So yeah, I think that those are things. And sometimes I know, I hear people and they struggle with it. Oh, I can't. I got to tell you that I am the person who will say to you, when I first started with the meditation thing, and people would say to me, oh, if you meditate, da 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 da, and I would go, I can't even sit still. I can't even sit still. I don't even know how to sit still, because if I sit still, something jumps in that I have to do. Something else jumps in. Before you know it, I don't know. I'm already on doing something else. So,
Because you were
and when I
being
gave,
present.
yes, and when I gave myself that the time to be present with myself, it was when I started to see the shifting in my life. Because it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like there's the energy just shifts in such a way where you're able to do it all, but with less resistance and less, how would you say, almost like motorized, right? You didn't have to be
Yeah,
that
I was
anymore.
gonna say you're like a gerbil
Yeah.
on one of those wheels.
Yeah, and so you
You're
didn't have
just
to
in the
do that
motion of I
anymore.
just have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, and then you go,
Yeah.
wait a second, I don't have to do
And you
this.
go,
I can
jump,
do it a
jump.
different way. Get out, free yourself, escape.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, so I
When
think
you
it's
said
really
motorized, right before that, I'm just seeing that gerbil
round and
in
round
that
and round and
wheel.
round.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Yeah, and you could be
self-motorized motor.
yeah, and being productive, right?
Yeah.
I was being productive when I was over,
Yes.
how would I say,
Yes.
multitasking, because every single job got done.
Yes.
But I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't
Yes.
feeling, I didn't even, it was almost like I was missing, right? Because there was that part of me that was missing, because I was giving all of me to all those tasks. And so
Yeah.
I didn't, it was, yeah. So what I say is, just slow down. Give yourself 5 minutes. So you wake up a little earlier in the morning, and you give yourself that time. Yes? Yes? Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know
everything
why.
went, I don't know what happened. Are we back? Hello? Okay, great. So what I'm going to share is that essentially we very much need to, that was one of my biggest priorities with staying present, was starting your day off right. And when you wake up, having an intention. For me, I have a spiritual practice, but um, it happened over time. So, when
Yes.
I first started meditating, I started meditating for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then, a lot of it was like, boy, this is really boring. Nothing's really happening. And back to the breath, and back to the breath. And then I would have guided meditations and I'd be like, boy, but it's like building a muscle like anything else. And so the more I continue to do that, I really look back at, I've been meditating for 15 years now. But when I first started meditating, it was a completely different experience. And I think that it's really important that we stay present with where we are because things
Yes.
are evolving. We're going to have to go to our first break. I don't know what happened. I think one of our internets went down, so there was a weird break there. But we're
Yeah.
going to go off to our first break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about tools we can actually use to empower ourselves by staying present.
Yes.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Welcome back. We're not really sure what happened, but we are back, and hopefully you can hear us. And, callers are always welcome for a mini reading or an energy shift. And I forgot to say that. So if you would like to call in and get help on your next step or shift some stuff, our phone number is 202-570-7057. And I'm so sorry about that.
When the little one wants to say hello.
I have 3 of them, so hopefully
Well.
one little one won't set off the whole tribe. And then I have 3 cats. I'm a crazy person with lots of furry beings and paws. So, so staying present, I think that's important. Like when we do trance, I have a trance circle, and when we hear a loud noise, we're supposed to train ourselves to go deeper in trance and not be distracted by it. And 2.5 years ago, when somebody told me that, I was like, oh, good luck with that. That is never going to happen. But it does. When you train yourself and you stay in the moment and you set the intention and you practice, it happens.
Practice. Yes.
Practice. And so
Practice.
staying present, some of it may sound foreign. Some of it may, you can only start where you are. And I always say that with everyone because we're all on different I hate using the word levels, but it works. We're all on different levels, and we're all in different little areas of where we're at. No, none of us are the same. So be gentle with yourself, and practice, because staying focused for me is a daily practice. With
Yes.
all that air that I have, and I had a couple epiphanies yesterday, which I shared with Marilyn about where our energy goes and how I tend to get in the whirly bird with that air, and all of a sudden I am like 20 feet away from anything that I was focusing on. And I have to train myself to tether myself back in, recollect myself, and get back to where I want to be. And this can be with emotions. Somebody does something, and boy, my feathers get so ruffled, and I get so mad, and it's so hot, and I'm already crabby. And then I go, wait a second. And it's just like the gerbil on that wheel. I have to go, no, these are your little feet making that wheel go. Nobody else is in charge of that but you. So take some accountability. How'd you fall out of sync, and pull yourself back in? It's a
Right,
practice.
because we always get to choose.
Yeah.
We always get to choose where we are, well, some people say, well, I'm not where I want to be, so I'm not really choosing this. I'm just, but
Yeah.
in reality,
But you are choosing how you
we kind of
react.
are, though. We are, because we have to, in order to take responsibility and be accountable, we have to understand that we always have a choice. We always
Yes.
have a choice.
mean,
It may not be always, the choices that we may want, or it may not be,
That's
like the
right.
best choice that we want. But there's always a choice. And
That's
when we
right.
say, well, I'm not going to choose because I don't like either one, you did choose. You chose whatever, and whatever comes for you, right? Because we are actively choosing or inactively choosing. And so we have to sometimes say, maybe I don't like the choices that I have, which means that I have to open up another opportunity to have a different choice to make, so that I'm not limited with these two choices, if that's what I see. Because we create the limitations for ourselves as well. I mean, look, when I say that, like, I'm thinking about, because I'm hearing this and I'm going, yeah, but there are people that are going to say, well, but you know what, I'm in this situation and I can't get out of this situation because because of
Yeah,
outside
maybe it's
forces or whatever
karmic.
it
Maybe
is.
it's not time. Whatever it is, you're in the
Yeah.
situation. Yep.
Yeah, but now what you can do is you can say, okay, I am in this situation, and what can I do to improve the
Accountability.
situation for myself, to take accountability, but to also, how can I improve it for myself? Because I don't have to
Right.
improve it for anyone else, unless, you know what I mean, unless, it's let's just say we're talking about just an individual, right? So you take care of it so that it can help you, right? I'm unfortunately, this is what happens to me. I'm talking and then I'm hearing all this other stuff coming in, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's too much information at one time. I can't grab it, so don't give me all of that. Because I got slow down, slow down, slow down.
Because
Okay,
you're
let's.
channeling.
I'm going. Oh Lord.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Um,
so the thing is, like, you're pissed off about something. You can either compartmentalize it and say, you know what, I'm going to address this a little later because it's not healthy for me or
exactly.
this other person or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you can say, I'm going to address this now and be present because it's not going to go away and I need to address it. Either way,
Right.
there's accountability. But those
Yes.
are two very different choices. It's not avoidance, but it is saying this needs to be addressed at a different time because
Right.
it's not the best thing for me, or I'm not at my best, right?
Right.
So
And you
we're
do want
not
to be at
saying
your
things
best.
don't happen. Yes, we're not saying
Yes.
things don't happen that you don't have control over. That, of course, I think that's such an important point. Because
Yes.
but then we're in victim mentality if we go,
Right.
I'm stuck and this is happening to me and nobody understands and wah, wah, wah. I
Yeah.
mean, do you know how many
Well, we're
pity
gonna
parties
fall
I've
into the
had for
muck,
myself? Right.
right? We're gonna
Yes.
fall into the muck every
And
now
you
and
can have
then.
a pity
But
party.
yes, and it's our job to be able to say,
That's
all
enough.
right, This didn't
Yeah.
feel good, and it doesn't
No.
feel good, and I didn't like it. And so
Yeah.
what did I learn from this experience? So I don't have to re-experience this experience again.
That's right.
And when we're having communications with other people and somebody, let's say, says something and it triggers us, and sometimes we may be explosive and other times we may not. Like if you've been practicing, then you won't be reactive. And so what will happen is that you will be more proactive in the sense where you will be able to either say it or write it, or say, in this moment, I cannot address this issue, but I will address this issue later, right? So these are the things that we can do to be able to say, because it's about being present in our lives. We must be present in our lives. When things are happening and we're not feeling right, we need to understand why it is that it's feeling off for us, so that we can help ourselves. Again, it's an inside job. This is nobody else is going to be able to do this job. Only we can do it. Only we can do this inside job, because I'm going to say to you, you can go to a healer, you can go to a therapist, you can go to a psychiatrist, you can go to your best friend, you can go, with all your beautiful sacred sisters and brothers, but it's an inside job. The practice has to do with you.
It's good. I like you.
You want to do all of that, but you want to know that the energy needs to be your energy fueling the inside job, not everything else. In other words, it shouldn't be dependent on the outside world, right? It has to be dependent on what it is that you want to feel? How is it that you want to feel? Well, how do you want to live in the world? How do you want to show up?
None of this were we taught. We were not taught any of this. None of this was part of my reality. I don't know about you, Marilyn, but I did not have this kind of reality when I was growing up, going, okay, now center yourself and get back in your power. And why do you feel that way? And how can you feel better? Nobody ever, they said, shut up, leave me alone. You're being a brat, go to your room, right? I mean, essentially.
It wasn't.
I was shut down, you know. And I get it. My mother had a lot of stuff to go on. I'm not saying I wasn't a pain in the ass either. I get it. But
and just think about
I know my mother would have been a very different mother after being a mother, right? Because you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But we also have to remember that when they were mothers, our mothers, times were tough and rough for women, right?
And
so it wasn't an easy job.
No, it was not. But my mother was, a single mom with a business trying to stay afloat. And, listen, I was a little spitfire. But whenever I got upset, my mother couldn't handle it because her mother used to get upset and she would disassociate. When somebody got angry, my mother would shut down. And she knew this. She did a lot of work on herself. And she was very different by the end of her life with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I learned the pattern of don't say anything, just let it fester, be in your little black cloud because you're going to be rejected anyway. Now, that's the pattern I learned. Everybody's got their own patterns.
Yeah.
So I eventually had to learn how to get sick of myself being in my own little black cloud and step by step become present and focused because I didn't want to feel bad. I'm just sharing that little bit so it gives an example out there. Now as an adult woman embracing I would say my more mature years coming up and my crone years, I set an intention every day. How do I focus? I have a small window where I make an action plan. This is not a to-do list. At 3:00, I will do this. This is how do I want my day to go? What do I need to process? What do I need to clear out? What do I need to prioritize? What's best for me? And I always start with me now, which I never ever did. I was at the bottom of the rung. That is my number one tip. Start with you and your heart. Yeah. Because if you're not good, nobody else is going to be good in your atmosphere.
Choose
not
you.
gonna happen.
Choose you.
Yeah, exactly.
I always go like this. I have to choose me. I have to choose me. Choose me first. And the reason for that is because if I can choose me first, then I can do all things. I cannot do all things if I do not choose me first. Because I'm not even present in my life, right? So I have to choose me first so that I can raise my frequency and my vibration so that I can do all things. So that I can do all things in my life.
And you know, Marilyn, they have now, and this is going to be a show, an upcoming show, but they can scientifically rate like muscle testing. They can scientifically see what percentage muscle testing's working, or when you're literally, this is a whole big can of topic, but when you do muscle testing, you either get a weak muscle or you get a positive muscle, and then you know it's a yes or no, or you're in the right area, just to give a very brief description. But now there's quantum physics coming into this, and there's scientists that are opening up to this, just this thing about muscle testing where you get a yes or a no, or you're in the right energy. Yes. And so when we're talking about that, it's the same thing when we're talking about our frequency. We're either raising the bar, boop, 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 like Mario, when his hearts are low, you know, the game Mario, or Donkey Kong when the hearts are going down, and then you get more stuff and your hearts go boop, 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 boop. That's exactly what we're talking about. Put yourself in your own video game and go, where is my bar right now? Am I on yellow flashing? You're gonna die if you don't feed yourself something good. That's really like the best analogy, because
because it's about the feeling place.
That's right.
And that muscle testing, we talked about that yesterday, and it was so interesting because I go like this and I say it's interesting because for me, I have always done I kind of know what I can have and what I can't have, like just by looking at it or touching it. It becomes this thing of, and it's always been that. I mean, it's so interesting because when I was younger, I would go to restaurants and my friends would always say, is this a good place? Because I would always be the one to say, oh, no, we can't eat here. I'm not feeling it. We can't eat here. Or if something, we ordered food and all of a sudden I'm like looking at my plate and I'm going, I could be hungry, but I'm not touching that, Because when I didn't listen, I would become very ill.
For it. Yeah.
Right? So I learned really quickly in life. And so it was interesting because my friends would look to me like, is this okay? Could we do this? Yeah, yes or no? Because I have that, and I don't know how I got that. It was just this thing that was always present for me. I could, something to drink or something to eat or
listening.
Yeah, and whether I was aware of it or not, because I don't really believe that I was very aware of it.
If you were.
Yeah, but I would always, and I know sometimes people would look at me and go, oh my God, like there she goes again, But I would be like, okay, it's
that's
not
fine.
me.
It's not your stomach and your
I'm not
body
doing
that
it.
you have to live with. I have to live with it if I eat the poison. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's so true. And that's true with everything. It's the instinct. We all have that. I don't care whether you're woo-woo or you're totally believe in science and don't believe in evolution. Oprah said this on her show years ago with some guy whose name I can't think of that wears the patch. But humans are the only person that will get into a moving steel car that the door's shut and you're on an elevator with somebody that you don't have a good feeling about, or you go, I'm not getting on that elevator. I'm going to wait for the next one.
Yeah,
that's
and I'm that
instinct.
person.
That's intuition. That's muscle testing. Yes.
Yeah, I am that person that will say, look. For instance, even times when I was delayed, like I was running a little late, and I would be like, and I would be flustered and really upset because I was running late, and then what would happen? I would see, accident, that just happened. I mean, it just happened. I probably barely missed it because I was delayed. And then when I was able to say that, right, I used to tell my son, if you're delayed for any reason, or something comes up in place of something, trust that, because sometimes we're being guided and we may not know it and we may get upset or frustrated about it. But when we pass that situation and we go, oh my God, but for the grace of God, right, go I, because I could have been that. Yeah, I could have been that. How many times? And it's so interesting. So I just go, it's okay. I am okay with that. I'm not, or if I know that I'm feeling uncomfortable with somebody, I don't test that anymore. I just go, I don't even have to know why.
Okay.
I do not have to know why.
Thank you.
You don't. I don't even want to go to the why. I just go. Not happening.
Yeah. I understand. All right. No way. Thank you. And you can be very kind about it and very. Nobody needs to know except you.
You don't have to say, "Oh, I'm getting these feelings." No, you don't have to do that. But basically,
in fact, I don't share most of it.
You remove your energy from that space. You remove yourself from that space. So it doesn't, connect
because
with you.
You
so
had the presence.
Yeah.
You had the presence to stay present. Now, see, I did a whole art piece on this, where if you are present, you get your presence, and then you get a present from your past self being present that presents to you the future that you presented when you were present. So everything we do right now is creating 2 weeks from now. And if you are going, I'll never happen and it'll never work, I'm never going to get what I want, we're going to have that down the road, because that's what you're creating, right?
Or if you're expecting chaos will come and visit you. If you're expecting a horrific experience, then it's coming for you. But if you're if you're waiting on joy and love and laughter and beautiful friends that you're about to meet and all this beautiful stuff, this is what comes. This is what visits you, because you are so focused on that the energy of the opposite is nowhere near that focus, right? So, and this is what I believe, right? If I continue to stay on the focus, that I'm choosing to experience, then I'm not. It's like the radio, right? You're tuning into our show today, and you're tuning into this frequency, and you're receiving the information that you need. So this is an important thing. It's the same thing in life. We're doing the same thing in life. We're tuning into a station and we're receiving whatever information is there in that frequency and in that vibration. So I know we have to cut off over to a break. So when we come back, we'll talk more about this.
Yes, I want to talk more about that, because I think there's some highlights here that are really important, especially regarding how you're co-creating things. Even if you don't know how things are going to come, you can say, I trust Spirit to unfold it for me. You don't have to make something up. So we'll be right back, guys.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour,
if you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind,
walk a mile in my shoes,
walk a mile in my shoes,
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Okay, so, we tend to go off topic and we tend to have light bulbs, and we're just that kind of show. We're not really scripted. We just really go with the flow. So we probably drive some people mad, but some people hopefully find us insightful. Marilyn, I find you very insightful. But I will say the one thing that I think is the most helpful is wherever you are in your growth and your ability to be present, amp it up by 5 minutes. Just start there. Yeah. It's not supposed to be like we're giving you homework and you're climbing Mount Everest. It's just food for thought, because for me, it's always a game to me, for me, my own journey. How can I do this better? How can I do this, more efficient in less time? Or how can I, I'm always playing games with myself so I can top myself. So I have a goal. Now I didn't realize not everybody's like that. But for me, I'm always trying to stretch myself. And I find, everything kind of started to open up for me when I would just put my feet on the earth for 5 minutes and shut up. It was so simple. I mean, that was the simplest of things. Anybody can do that, right? I guess, unless you're trapped in a tower in London and you can't touch the earth, then you can imagine your feet on the earth.
But you still can. You still can.
Yes, of course you can.
I have evidence that you can still do that.
She has evidence. We need to have, that's what we need. We need a spiritual scientist. That's it. That should be my book. Now, everybody go ahead but I just think spiritual scientist or something like that title, where I need someone out there to come join me, and you be the scientist and I'll be the spiritual, and we're going to make it work. So it makes sense to the world. Yeah. I'm sure there's something like that out there already, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it is. But I just had this moment.
I had that experience, and we talked about it, right? Where I was in somebody's house visiting, and I really felt like the roots of the tree, right, were underneath my feet, and they were rooting themselves into the earth of the land of the home that I was in. And I had never experienced that. So I was, above on the house level, and I was actually feeling, it was almost like I could feel it and see it and fully experience as the roots of the tree were actually going down from the bottom of my feet all the way. And I know it sounds crazy, and it would sound crazy to me too, but I had the experience, so I know that it was real. I was like, if I said this, and I know that I said it to you, and I knew you would understand it, but I said, if I said this to anybody else, would they understand what just happened? Because it was such a different experience for me. And I have stood on the earth, and I really have heard and felt and experienced all kinds of things, but I have never had that experience from a home where I was able to feel the actual roots rooting down from the bottom of my feet. And as they were rooting down and into the earth, I felt anchored in. It was such a powerful experience. So is it possible for us to do that? Yes. And I think if we're open to the experience, because I was doing ceremony, and I think that I was in that sacred space, so I was able to open that. And I would say I sometimes consider those things portals, right? Because for me, it's like a portal. It's like a portal that I kind of stepped into. It just felt like that to me, and it was just so interesting, the full experience of it. So I know I went off on a tangent, but it was because you said that, and I said, "Whoa."
Well, you're making me think about, just think about all the muck and all the stuff going on. And then we have all these beautiful images of billions of universes. And I mean, that has just been so beautiful to see on social media, which was one of my big things. Turn your phone off and time yourself on social media if you get lost there, because I get lost there. But anyway, there's been some beautiful imagery, and I watched a program on it and how they did it and pulled it off and made it happen, and it was just so encouraging and hopeful. But if you think about, each one of those places is a universe, a galaxy, how massive and huge, and they're even finding water in places they didn't think there would be water. I mean, it's just incredible. And so
there's a lot more than
you think about. You tapped into one little portal. Why not? Why can't you go into a portal?
And you can. I mean,
yes,
you really can. When I went to Puerto Rico, we entered a portal there, and it was amazing, right? And when we went to Ecuador, same thing.
At the heart
and you did when you went.
Right? I mean, and if somebody told me what was going to happen to me and tried to explain it I still can't explain what happened to me. I'm not even going to try. It's not even important, because I'm not here to convey that. I'm here to know in my being that, we are so much more amazing than we have any clue.
Oh my goodness,
we're just scratching the surface, and we're unentrenching ourselves from the density of disbelief, right?
And that's why I say that it's so important for us to stay. Again, we're still on the topic, right? Of the independence, but also in recognizing, right, that being present in our lives, that's what's important, and that's what matters. When we are fully present in our lives. Because if we are fully present, see, if I wasn't fully present in that moment, I would have missed it. I would have missed that.
Right.
I just would have missed it. And not because it wasn't happening, but because I would not be present in the fullness of the experience. So if we can stay present in our lives, so much more can show up for us. And if we can shift.
I did promise that, Marilyn. I did say at the beginning of the show we were going to get into how that ties into your independence. So I'm so glad you're at least pulling us back to that. Typical air. Yeah, because it's important, because when you are focused and you are in your energy, you're not buying all the BS. You're not getting wrapped up in the distractions. And
you don't have to prove anything
in that. Yes.
And you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Right?
Yeah. I mean, when you know what you know and you feel what you feel, and the more confident you are about what's resonating inside of you versus the bells and the whistles and the distractions and that's where your power lies, and your focus and your presence. And so, we always manage to come back full circle somehow.
Yeah.
But the truth is, honestly, I think sometimes in this world it is very hard to stay present, because we do feel that there's so much lower vibrational stuff. And there is. We're not denying that. We're not saying that there aren't bad things going on out there. We are in a huge birthing process for humanity. It's going to be ugly. There's ugly bits. But it is also in the power of knowing that you're going to be okay, and that you're connected to your higher self, and that you have the presence to pull yourself back and put yourself in the energy you want to be in, regardless of what, being the center of the storm. And that is where your power lies. And so it's not about being in denial and la land and unicorns. It's about knowing that you're a higher being that has a greater purpose than just this very moment of things around you.
I just saw something that I had seen before, where here you are, and you are in the center of the storm, and then you realize that you are the storm, and then you realize that you are the storm. So you are the storm. And I just saw the storm, and then I saw everything revolving around that. The whole storm is happening all the way around, right, and above and all over. And so it's interesting that we can recognize our power in that storm, because we have the power, right, to be present in that storm, but to heal it as well, and to be able to kind of like stay centered and allow that energy to just move in the energy that it needs to, so that it continue to flow where it needs to go. That's versus us focusing and trying to reach for it. And then now what happens when we reach in? What happens? Now we're spinning with that storm. Now we're a part of, not only are we were the center, now we're in the storm. And now what can we do once we're in that storm? It's very hard to navigate that.
Get yourself back.
Yeah. So I just was
and that's why it's a practice. When I was a little girl, I must have been about 8 or 9. And we used to go to the Outer Banks, and they had the hugest storms there. And we'd go for like 2 weeks, because my mom's family was from the South, and we would stay in this cabin. And I remember once there was this, it was a hurricane, and his name was literally Mr. Midget. Mr. Midget, who rented us the cabin, and his wife picked us up in the middle of the storm, took us for ice cream 5 minutes down the road, and brought us back. And because they knew that it was the calm of the storm, and they knew we were going to be okay. I don't know how they knew that, but I have very few memories as a child, and I remember that so clearly, because like 5 minutes later, after we came back, we had ice cream, we laughed, we had a great time. And then I opened the door for the cabin, and I looked up, and it was pitch black. And there was a screaming storm. My mom pulled me back from the door, and we were fine in the storm. It came and it passed. But I always remember that, because they were so calm. These two people that took us. Yeah. And we were really scared and nervous, and they made us feel better. And I mean, that's like literally a storm. It's I guess a metaphor for what we're talking about. But I remember the feeling of that, and the awe of that you could be surrounded by this monsoon of madness and be okay.
Yes.
And that really impacted me as a little girl. Yeah. I still remember that feeling. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Because we are the storm too. Yes. So the more you practice being present, the more you pull yourself back to, how do I want to feel? What do I truly know? What am I really a part of? Right. Versus... Yeah.
And so, what am I observing, and what am I absorbing? Because if you continue to be the collector, right, and receiving, then you aren't doing yourself a service, right? It's a disservice to your body. No, you're just
adding dustpans and chimneys and tires and, all the other stuff the storm's collecting and adding to it.
Yeah. Just observe. Observe. You don't have to collect it. You don't have to absorb it. You can just say, okay, I see that. I witnessed that. You don't have to take it in. You don't have to take it in, because that's so important. A lot of times we lose our way that way.
Yeah,
very
we forget
easily.
Like what a good mother does. Yeah. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to be fine. Just stay calm. And we're going to ride the wave, and everything's going to be okay. We don't mother ourselves. We bash ourselves.
Which would be a beautiful thing, cycle. Right? If we do that, it would be a beautiful thing. That's why loving yourself. Yeah. But loving yourself is so important. Taking good care of yourself is so important. Prioritizing
and putting yourself first. Yes. Is important, because it all starts with your reality. Where you ground yourself, where you start your day at, where you're feeling in that heart space. Yeah. It's all that.
Yeah. If you don't feel good, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel good and you don't feel comfortable, right, in a situation, then it's important for you to recognize that, to honor yourself.
Yeah.
And move away. Or, you know what I'm
Wouldn't it
saying?
be great if
Excuse
everybody
yourself.
in the whole wide world would just listen to us, and then
Yeah.
the whole world would be grounded for like 5 minutes? Wouldn't that be
5
great?
minutes is good.
And they could feel what that 5 minutes felt like, the collective.
Yes.
I mean, it's like I sound like John Lennon now, you know, imagine all the people. But really, isn't that why we love that song? Because we do have that power. We just have to tap into it.
And think about this, that we are always wanting peace. But if peace does not live inside of us,
that's right.
It cannot exist outside of us. So we need to recognize that peace has to live within us so that we can vibrate that into the world, so that it can become that frequency and that vibration that moves through the planet. But we there's still so much work that we have to do. That's why we have to continue to rediscover the self, to do the work, to be kind and loving to yourself, right?
And present.
And being
so
present.
That was our present
there
for
you
everyone
go.
today.
That's our show.
Peace and blessings.
Yeah, blessings, love, and light to all. Oh, we love you guys.
Yes, we do.